He has experienced trainer and professor with a demonstrated history of working in the corporate and education industry, skilled in R, Python, data analytics, machine learning, statistics using Excel and Tableau sheet, data structures, C++, Java, automata theory. In his life, so far he have trained 5,000 plus students and 2,000 plus working professional. He has a lot of corporate clients, include HDFC, NASCOM, Times Internet, Tata Steel, Asta. He's a corporate trainer. So I welcome sir. So now
Thank
I'm
you.
hand over the session to Dr. Dassan. So please carry on, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for the kind words.
Thank you.
So a very good morning to all of you. First of all, apologies for joining late. It was just a slight misunderstanding. So anyways, we will compensate for this. Not a reason to worry at all. So yes. So before we start, yes, all of you are over here. So just a quick introduction in the first 2 minutes. My introduction is anyways done. I will like to just get a few insights about you. Since the session today is introduction to Python and Jupyter notebook, so I will just like to know, how many of you are totally new to Python? Totally new, literally starting from zero. Is there anyone who is totally new to Python?
Yes, sir. I'm totally new to Python. My name is Naresh Kumar.
Okay, Mr. Naresh. And okay. And what about others? If they are familiar, if I just now how to ask you, I think the best way I can ask you is how much percent of Python do you know? If I just talk about the progress in Python, let's say between 0 to 100, how much percentage of basic Python do you know? How do you rate yourself so that I'll understand? So I have to go to what depth? If you can just write in the chat section 0, 100, 10, whatever you feel like, but at least I'll get some statistics about it before I start. At the end of the day, it should not happen that everything went bouncer because I assumed the things. Okay, so Sridhar, totally new. Nagarjuna is also saying that. Uma and Veena. Okay, so thank you very much. I'm also new to Python. Okay. So we have to start from the basics. That's exactly what I understand from what I see in the chat section. Totally new to me also. Okay. Fine. So what I'll do is I will assume that you all are totally new. We have to start with the ABC of Python. Okay, so with that intuition, we will go ahead. Yesterday, okay, 0%. Okay, so thank you very much, guys. I got it. Request you all to please once again mute yourself, and in case if you have any questions, you are most welcome to ask me. Okay, so now let's get started. First of all, we should know what is the working environment that we are going to use. And the environment that we are going to use, the reason I'm getting you introduced to this particular environment is because later on for the machine learning sessions also the same environment is going to be used, and that is called as the Anaconda Navigator. So let me just take you to that. For that, you have to go to Google and search for Anaconda. Okay, just search for Anaconda and press an enter. So obviously you will be getting this particular link, anaconda.com. So please click on this, and inside this products, there is individual edition. Click on individual edition. Then scroll down a bit, you will get download option. Click on this download option. It will automatically scroll you to the bottom of the page. And here, depending on whichever operating system you are using, you are going to download it. So I'm using the 64-bit. You have to download this. Click on this. Downloading would start. It is around 400 MB of software. After downloading it, you have to install it just like you install any other regular software, simply by pressing next, finish. Do not do anything other than that. If you happen to click anything else, any other text in between the installation process, please don't do that. That is not recommended at this stage. So once this is done, the name of the software, as I told you, is Anaconda Navigator. So now what are we going to do is I'm just going to press my Windows key on my keyboard and I will type over here Anaconda. So I just typed over here ANAC and you'll be getting all these options. Okay. I'm going to click on Anaconda Navigator. Let me tell you, when you install this software, you will be requiring around at least 15 minutes to get this software installed. So it's not going to be immediate. So when I click on this for opening it, you'll realize that it takes some time for it to open. I mean, I usually don't prefer this way of opening it, but anyway, since we are getting introduced to it for the first time, I'm just helping you out with this. So it's a bit heavy software, so it will take some time for it. And of course, there are alternatives to this also, but the reason we are using it is because you are going to require this in this entire FTP. So whenever the ML sessions are going to start, I remember last time I took the ML sessions for the same FDP. So we do require this. So therefore, it's better you get introduced. So it takes time. So therefore, we are not going to use this. But anyways, let it get loaded. Yes. So you can see over here, this is my entire Anaconda Navigator. And this is actually just a navigator interface. Inside this, you have so many tools available. We can use each of this, but the very famous tool for the data science applications is the Jupyter Notebook. And the next one is the Spider, as you can see over here. Okay, I'm going to launch my Jupyter Notebook. By the way, if you just look, Jupyter is a web-based interactive computing notebook environment. So when I click on launch button over here, it is a web-based interface. That is, the things will be opening in my browser. Of course, I don't require an internet connection for this. No, we don't require it, but it is a web-based interface. So you'll observe it opens in your browser. So yes, it automatically opened it in my default browser. If your default browser is not selected, then it will ask you to select the browser. But this is how it opens. Now, this is my Jupyter Notebook. If you want to exit this interface, just press on quit. Okay, and I'm doing that. Now, this was one way of launching it. However, I don't like this because you have to open the Anaconda Navigator, then you click on Jupyter Notebook, then it gets launched. I'll just exit this way. Another way is I can just go to my window and I type Jupyter Notebook. And I can directly launch Jupyter Notebook also. So if I click on this, I need not open my navigator and then click on Jupyter Notebook. It's very time consuming. So I can directly launch it. This is another way of doing it. But the only drawback of the first two ways is that I really don't know. I mean, where exactly is this open? Because it is open in my system only. It's open in my system. Where is it open? Well, it is open in my system where you see this folders like documents, desktop, downloads, favorites. And I don't want to waste time in finding where it is. Okay. Because we have limited time. So now I'm going to once again quit it. The problem with this approach is I am really not sure where I have opened this. It is open for sure, but which path I don't know. So I quit this also. Now I will tell you how to open it finally. Okay, understand this thing. This is the most important thing that you should know. So guys, here is the folder. I mean, if you see this PC, E drive, ebooks, data science, Python, and St.Joseph. This is the folder which I have created in my laptop. In the similar way, you will also create it at any place of your choice. I have created it over here. And now how do I open it? Well, remember this thing. For first time, you may find it a bit new to you, but it's a really very simple way. So this time I click on my Windows key and I type ANAC. That's the starting words for Anaconda. And I don't click on Anaconda Navigator. I don't click on Jupyter Notebook. I don't click on Spider, but I click on Anaconda prompt. I repeat, I press my Windows key and I am going to click on Anaconda prompt. When I click on it, you'll see over here, by default, it is in C users play folder. That's my surname. So that means that by default, the Anaconda was opening in this particular location. If you want to confirm, I'll just open my new window. I'll go to this PC, C drive, users and Ingle. Well, if you see, these are the same folders. I mean, 3D objects, Anaconda 3, desktop, documents. This was exactly where it was opening by default. I don't want it over here. I want to be opened at this particular path because I want to save all my files in this folder. That's my choice. If it is my choice, let me give my choice. And for that, I say change the directory, CD. CD stands for change the directory. And what I will do is, I'll come over here in the folder of my choice, click on this, right click, copy. I'll copy this path because this is the path of my choice. It's not C drive, it's E drive. I come over here and I say paste by Control V. And I press enter. Sometimes it doesn't happen. So just type E colon, and you see that we are in the folder of our choice. With the help of this, you can have all your stuff to be saved at the place wherever you want to. And now, first you need to type Jupyter Notebook. You just need to type Jupyter Notebook and press enter. Now, again a web-based interface will open. But you know where has it been opened? It has been opened at this path. If you want to confirm it, well, let me create a file for you. So what I do is, go over here. Nothing is available inside this. It is empty. I'm going to create a notebook. I click on new and then I click on Python 3. Now this has opened a Jupyter notebook. So this is my Python 3 which I have. Now I go to view, header, and I say over here introduction to Jupyter notebook and Python. I'm just naming it by whatever name of my choice. This is the name of it. And for saving it, I just press Control S. Control S is for saving. So every time you press Control S, you'll see over here a checkpoint has been created at that particular time. Okay, I'll show it to you once again. Checkpoint is created at this time. Now, if I go back to the same folder, do you see the same notebook is created at 1512? You also see over here the size is 2 KB and the extension is .ipynb. The extension is .ipynb. That is, it is nothing but a Python notebook. And since we saved it, the saved things are automatically stored in a folder which is called as checkpoints. And this is where it is. We never require it, but it will automatically be created every time you save it. Okay. So now we understand how does a Jupyter notebook look like. Now, let me show you some basic things that you can do over here, and then I will move on to the Python program. So in Python, if you want to literally perform any calculation, let's say I want to perform what is 10 plus 35. And if I want to execute this particular thing, I just click over here on my run button. I get the answer. Similarly, if I say what is 15 multiplied by 98, I can click over here on the run button and I get the answer. The moment I click on this run button, I get the answer and a new cell gets created automatically. So let's say if I say what is 98 divided by 2, okay. Now 98 divided by 2, if I want the answer, every time clicking on this run button is a bit cumbersome. So I say I can do the same thing by pressing Shift Enter. Shift Enter. Without using my mouse, without touching my mouse, just press Shift Enter. For example, if I say what is 2 star 3, well, Python star means, please mute yourself. Please mute yourself. Hello. Thank you very much. Okay. So in Python, star means exponentiation. Exponentiation means what? Well, if I say 2 star 3, that means I'm expecting what is 2 raised to 3. So obviously the answer to that has to be 8. So let's confirm that. I'm pressing shift, with the shift key pressed, I'm pressing enter key and I get the answer. Okay, so that's how I can have this. Now, as you can see over here, I mean, what did I do over here is called as comment. What is a comment? Well, let me tell you that if I don't type this hash, if I don't type this hash, and if I try to execute it by pressing shift enter, it is going to give me an error. You know what is the reason for it? Reason for it is this particular part is a valid Python code. Okay, this particular part is a valid Python code. However, this is not a valid code. This is normal English which we have written. So Python will understand that this entire thing is a code, and it found the error over here that this is not defined. So in this particular case, what is the solution to that? Solution to that is I want to make this particular part of the code to be ignored by the Python interpreter. And how do I do it? I do it just by typing a hash over here. Observe, the moment I type hash over here, everything got converted to italic case and it is kind of frozen. Now if I execute it, it is going to ignore everything after this hash. What is this thing which we write after the hash is called as? It is called as comments. Where are comments used for? They are used for documentation purpose. So let's say if I want to write anything related to this, so I say over here, here we perform our division operation. Everything would be ignored. However, if you just ignore this writing of hash, you see over here, it is going to immediately say that there is an error. So you understand over here how important is this. So with the help of comments, you can write anything. So now I can keep on writing comments. Let's say, hi, going down. One more thing. My name is Dr. Darshan Ingle. I am the speaker for the day. And if I don't write any code and I just execute it, everything would be ignored. There is nothing called as output. And let's say if I write over here, maybe if I say what is 89 minus 120. Now if I press shift enter, you can see the answer. Okay, so that is what is comment. So comment is basically ignoring part of it. Okay, ignoring part of the code, which is used mainly for documentation. Perfect. So now after this, what I'll do is I'll go to view and I'll hide this so that I can get a better visibility for you over here. So I go to view and toggle header. So this is hidden. If you want to view it again, toggle header, toggle header. Okay, the same thing. Okay, now let's go to the main thing. In Python, let's say if I want to print, okay, if I want to print my name is Darshan Ingle. If I want to print that and if I just type it over here, and I press shift enter, it gives me error. In Python, if you want to print anything, what do I mean by anything? If I want to be there in the output, okay, if I want my name is Dr. Darshan Ingle to be printed as the form of this output cell, then it doesn't allow me. However, if I want to, I can certainly do it. So the question is how? The question over here is simple. Python says, Python is a functional oriented language. There is a function which is called as print. Whenever I say function, it will be having a round brackets after this. Okay, increase the font for you. So whenever I say function, it will be having a round bracket over here. And inside this, whatever you write in double quotes would be printed as it is. If I say hi participants, and if I just execute it, you can see over here, now it will be printed as it is. Similarly, if I say over here, print in double quotes, I type my name is Dr. Darshan Ingle and I press shift enter. Whatever you type, it will be printed as it is. So we understand over here how simple it is to print anything in Python. So can I do or print something like this? Well, in print in double quotes, if you write 89 minus 120, well, it's exactly the same thing that we wrote, right? In Python, if we write 89 minus 120, what are we expecting? Minus 31. Let me execute that. You know why it did print 89 minus 120? The reason is the same. I told you that in double quotes, in the print function in double quotes, whatever you write will be printed as it is. Whatever you write will be printed as it is. So this is not different. This will be printed as it is. However, if you want the answer to that, you just have to get rid of this double quotes. So now whatever is the result of this computation will be printed. Whatever is the result of this computation would be printed over here. So 89 minus 120, answer is there. So I can either write over here 89 minus 120 directly, or I can use it up in the print function. But when do we actually require a print function? If the things can be done without the print function. Well, let me tell you. If I say maybe 1 plus 1, I get the answer. Okay. Apart from that, if I say what is 2 multiplied 2 raised to 3. So you all know, right? 1 plus 1 has to give me the answer as 2, and 2 raised to 3 has to give me the answer as 8. Let us see what we get over here. What we get is just 8. I executed it. I'll show you once again. I executed. You can see this number getting changed from 20 to 21 now. I executed it. However, which output has come? Only the latest output is shown to us. Only the latest output. The older output is suppressed. The older output is suppressed. So now, how to get rid of this problem? Now you understand. You just write over here. Put it inside. Similarly, do the same thing over here. Now, when you execute it, you'll be getting the answer to both. Now we understand whenever you want to print anything, you have to, whenever you want to print more than one thing, then it is advisable that you use print. It is always advisable to use print. Okay. Now, after that, going further ahead, I say the next thing that we can take over here is print is done. Let's say I want to perform addition of two numbers. Addition of two numbers. First and foremost thing, how to perform addition of two numbers? Well, I can say 1 plus 2 and I get the answer of that. But I don't want it like that. I say, let's say in mathematics, okay, when we were in our school days, the question was given something like this. Given A is equal to 45, B is equal to 23, what is the result of addition? So then we used to solve A is equal to 45, B is equal to 23. Then we used to say A plus B, which is equal to 45 plus 23. Then we get the answer. Whatever is the answer, we write that, okay, this is the final answer. In the same way, if I want to go over here, I can do the same thing over here. I say A is equal to 45. I can more than one things inside this. B is equal to 23. And then I say C is equal to A plus B. And then I say print C. Now if you see over here, it has printed the value of C. Okay. Now I could have done the same thing, something like this. Instead of saying C is equal to A plus B and wasting the time, I mean, I could have also said over here, print A plus B. That is also valid, not a wrong way of looking at the problem. However, you got to realize over here that if I write, I think, in fact, I'll just take this only. If you observe this, I'll take down, copy this once again, and is equal to 45, B is equal to 23, C is equal to 45 plus 23, and then you say print C. Print C has printed 68. However, if you tend to write C in double quotes, as I told you earlier, inside print, whatever you write in double quotes will be printed as it is. You get C. We don't want that. We want the value inside C. And for getting the value inside C, got to write C. However, That doesn't mean that you simply write, let's say, printf. F, something like f is never created. We have a created, we have b created, we have c created. F is never created. So when you do that, it is going to give you a name error saying that f is not defined, and that's correct also. F is not defined. However, if I write int a, if I write int b, I mean, all these values are already being seen by the Python interpreter earlier. So it will give me the values as expected. So let's cut this out and put it over here only so that we get all the values. Okay. So far, everything clear to you guys? Yes. I guess everyone is faculty over here. Am I right? Anyone over here who is not a faculty member? Maybe from industry or maybe from the student background. Anyone over here who is not from the faculty fraternity? Please reply in the chat section or unmute yourself and say anything is fine. Yes. So, I mean, Naresh, you belong to exactly where? You're a student or
Yes, sir. Sir, I'm a research scholar.
in MTech?
No, sir, PhD in IIT Kharagpur.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you very much. And others, I think they are faculties in this case. Dr. Chandra, okay, fine. So what I understand is, yes, someone is research scholar, but there is there is no one from student fraternity. Am I right on that particular part? If there is anyone from the student fraternity, please type in the chat section. In case if there is any, I am expecting a no over here, obviously. I'll just wait for 5 seconds to get the answer in the chat. Okay, fine. So everyone over here is from having a working background. Now, let us go ahead. Now, let us try to understand what all values can you give to a variable. So if I say maybe a is equal to 23 and I say int a, well, if I want to check a type of a, I'll explain you what it is. If I want to check the type of a, if I press shift enter over here, well, let me tell you that in Python, we have different types of values which are possible. A normal number is stored as an integer. If you have a number like this, it is stored as a float. If you have a number like this, it is stored as a complex number. If you have a value something like true, or maybe if you have a value something like false, it is stored as a Boolean data type. And if you have a string something in double quotes, it is stored as a string. Let me show you all of it. So we saw over here how it is working with a. Let me use once again a, but this time I'm having some int number. You can see it is float. This time I say true. You can see it is bool. I can change the variable name also. I'm just reusing the same variable name a over here again and again. So next, if I say over here, let me have a complex number 5 plus 9j is a complex. And lastly, if I say version is str. So we get this all information over here. Okay. Now, apart from that, let us now discuss the operators. Now, by default, if you observe over here, what is the type of the cell code? I mean, if I also click on cell number 36 now, the type of the cell is code. What all are the other types? Markdown, raw, and B heading. Okay. If I click over here, by default, the type is code. So what is this exactly? What is this code? Other than code, what is this markdown? Well, let me make it to markdown. So this cell which is highlighted would be converted to markdown. Okay. Markdown is as good as, I mean, in simple words, in very layman terms, if you ask me what is markdown, I can say it is like creating a Word document inside your Jupyter notebook. So I mean, you write anything and you get all the things as expected. For example, uh, I say over here, let's discuss the different operators in. When I execute it, you can see over here, now it has not given me an error. Why did I say it is very similar to Word? If I type hash and I press a space, I repeat, if I type hash and I press a space, this is not a comment. Comment works only in code cell. We are currently in Markdown cell. Now when I press Shift Enter, what has it done? Well, it has simply bolded the things. Why did this one come? Wait a minute. Rather than me justifying and confusing you, I'll just turn off. That is advanced function which I have enabled. I'll just turn off that. Now when I actually control this and refresh it, that should go. Okay. So you see over here, when we execute this by Shift Enter, nothing is there. Now, apart from that, if I want to bold it, I use double underscores at the start and at the end. And now you can see over here, this is heading. Therefore, it is bold and the font has increased. This is just bold. Well, if I say I want to type anything in italic, then we have to have 3 underscores at the start and 3 underscores at the end. It is bold and italic. In this way, there are many other things available. Well, if I say, I mean, there are 2 categories. I mean, just I'm taking example. And if I want to write, okay, so I say over here, with the help of this angular bracket, if I say 1 dot, this is category 1, and then I say 2 dot, category 2. Just observe when I execute this, with the help of this angular brackets which we have, see what happens. So I get the things in the right format. I mean, if I want the things to be indented inside, I can do all those things. This is the advantage of raw notebook, and therefore I say it is more of like your Microsoft Word. You get a lot of facilities over here. In fact, what all are the different facilities? Well, simply type Twitter Markdown cheat sheet, and it will give us a lot of other features available. I mean, as I told you, this is for title. If you use double hash, it is for major heading. This is for subheading. This is for 4th level heading. If you want it, I mean, I'll just paste this link for you so that when I share this notebook with you, you'll be having this. Okay, this is nothing but the Markdown cheat sheet. You need not research on that. We are interested in the coding aspect of it. This is something which I just gave you as an additional thing. So you can do a lot of things over here, but it is more of related to documentation. So this cell is only and only going to accept documentation stuff. You cannot write code over here. It will not get executed. This is what is my Markdown cell. Okay. Now let us discuss with the operators and the data structures of the Python very quickly. So the first thing which I want to discuss over here is Python has support for relational operators. For example, if you say less than 3, you can put it inside print also. That's also perfectly fine. Python gives the answer. Is 2 less than 3? Yes. Similarly, if you say 3 greater than 23, answer is false. Boolean data type. Remember, I told you. So all the relational operators are supported. In fact, the operators which are supported are less than, greater than, less than, equal to is also supported. That's how you write it. Okay. Then greater than, equal to is also supported. And there is one more operator which is supported, which is equal to equal to. Well, if I say it's 45 equal to 45, it's an error. It doesn't understand that, because what it will do, well, remember, if I write a is equal to 45, it assigns the value 45 to a. So if I write 45 is equal to 45, it is like you are trying to assign 45 to 45, just like you did over here, which is not a valid operation. So if you really want to check whether this value and this value are equal, operator is not equal to, but the operator is equal to. Just remember this. Now it gives me the answer, yes, your LHS is equal to your RHS. Makes sense. Similarly, I mean, you also have not equal to operator. Well, in our normal English, we write not equal to operator like this. If we don't have something like this on the keyboard, it's equal to is for equal to, and not equal to is written like this, exclamation and equal to mark. If I say 45 not equal to 45, no, 45 is equal to 45. Therefore, the answer is false. I mean, let us try some. If I say 4 not equal to 45, the answer is true. So this is what we have. Okay. Apart from that, we have many operators, but I'll focus on the main things. Others are something which you can also understand on your own. So I say, I have something which is called as membership operators. What are membership operators? One operator is in and one is called as not in. Let me explain you how. Well, if I have a string like maybe person, if I say is A Darshan, okay, I can put it in print or I need not put it in print. That's fine. A in Darshan, the answer is true. If I say in Darshan, where capital A is not there in Darshan, the answer is false. This is called as membership operator. In fact, other than that, as I told you, there is one more membership operator which is called as not in. This small a, not in Darshan, it is there. Therefore, the answer is false. This is called as a membership operator. Now, apart from this, we are going to move on to now the conditional statements. Okay, what are exactly conditional statements? We have to understand one thing, that in real life, we move on with choices, right? For example, I say that if the weather is fine, I will go for a walk. Or sometimes I say, if the weather is fine, I will go for a walk, else I will sit at home. So this time I had no other choice. In the second case, I have some choice. Let me take you one more example. If I say, if the weather is fine, I will go for a walk, else if, I'm just writing in short form, else if the weather is rainy, I will go for a long drive, else I will go for movie. That's my choice. We have such kind of choices. Similarly, if I can also say, if the weather is fine, I will go for a walk, else if the weather is windy, I will sit at home, else if the weather is rainy, I will go for a long drive, else I say I go for a movie. So in the same way, I can have a lot of options. My case 1, case 2, case 3, case 4. All of these are nothing but called as the conditional statements in Python. My dear friends, this colon is not something which I did by mistake. I did it purposely so that you are acquainted with the syntax of Python. Python says that if you are using if or else if, this is the way you are going to write. Else if is written as elif, else is written as else, if is written as if. And after this, you have a colon. Here also you have a colon, here also you have a colon, so on and so forth. So, I mean, let me just give you a walkthrough of the different conditions. So what I'll do is, how is this actually working? So I'll just convert it to, this time to raw NB. Okay, let me explain you what is raw NB also. Raw NB is like my text document. in my notepad which I create on my computer, you know that it doesn't support any formatting. We cannot do bold, we cannot do highlight, nothing is possible. So I mean, if I actually copy this entire thing, Control A, Control C, if I copy this entire thing over here, this is my raw NB cell, friends, raw NB. If I execute this by pressing Shift Enter, I did that, I press Shift Enter. However, you see the output exactly same. No formatting options are supported over here. Absolutely nothing. Okay, so now let me create a raw NB cell, and I'm going to say over here that this is my conditional operators. Okay. So what are my conditional operators? Well, how does my if statement work? It says that if followed by condition, we write everything after a tab. I'll explain you that. I say do this, do this. You can also say else if followed by. So what I'll do is, this is condition 1. Else if followed by condition 2. I say do this, else. Do this, do this. Now, this is how it is you are going to use. I'll explain everything. So if I say, I'm taking a variable x is equal to 5, and I say over here, if my condition is x modulo 2 is equal to 0, well, let me explain you what is this modulo operation. If I say x modulo 2 equal to 0, well, if I have a number like 5, well, modulo operation means nothing but give me the remainder. So if I say over here, what is 5 modulo 2, then 5 would be divided by 2 in our normal course. 2 2s are 4. What remains is this. This is exactly what is the result of modulo operation. So if I say what is 5 modulo 2, the answer is 1. If I say what is 6 modulo 2, 2 3s are 6, remainder is 0. So it is basically giving us the remainder. If I say what is 7 modulo 2, the answer is 1. If I say what is 8 modulo 2, the answer is 0. What is 9 modulo 2, the answer is 1. So now you understand one thing, that if it is a odd number, the modulo answer is going to always give, modulo 2 is always going to give you 1. And if it is an even number, the modulo 2 is always going to give you the answer as 0. That's exactly what we observe from this. You take any number. If I say 123, 123 modulo 2, answer is 1, because you have 3 over here at the end. So we conclude over here that it is an odd number. So with the same logic, I say over here, condition, if x modulo 2 is equal to 0, I say print. What are we going to print? Well, even number. Okay. Else print odd number. Now you see over here, it print us odd number because 5 is an odd number. Let me try with some other number over here. So let's say the number is 53. 53 modulo 2 is not equal to 0, is equal to 1. So it is an odd number. Let me try with the even number, 52. It's an even number. So that's how the condition works. Okay. Now in the same way, I'll just add more conditions. I'll not use this. I say x is equal to 35. I say over here, if x is greater than 35. Okay, I'm just taking a condition. If x is greater than 35, I say, I'm writing everything in double quotes so that I need not worry of the syntax now. So I say over here, x is greater than 35. So it will print as it is. We know it very well. If I write one more condition, x less than 35, it's going to print x less than 35, else print x is equal to 35. Of course, there are many variations for it, but due to shortage of time, I'm not getting into everything of it at the moment. I'm trying to give you the maximum knowledge so that later on you can explore this thing in more detail. Else, only teaching operators takes around 1 hour. So you can understand that we have actually tried to sum up the thing so that I can give you the maximum information in the minimum amount of time. So now what is going to happen over here? Well, we know that the first line x is equal to 35 is going to store 35 inside x. Then we check over here. Is 35 greater than 35? No. So this part is skipped. Then it comes over here. Is 35 less than 35? No. So this part is also skipped. Now there is no option. You got to do this. So it is anyways going to type over here 35 is equal to 35. Let me show you the variations of it. If I give a number over here, maybe instead of 35, if I give a number like 3, you can see over here, it has printed that x is less than 35. So what it did over here, x was initialized to 3. Is 3 greater than 35? No, skip this. Is 3 less than 35? Yes, print this. Once you print this, everything after this would be skipped. And that makes sense also. How can one person do two things at the same time? I mean, can you ever say, looking out of your window, it is raining and it is not raining? That's not possible. It will either rain or it will not rain. Both of these activities cannot be together. Similarly, you cannot be at a movie as well as a walk for the same time. You cannot be for a long drive as well as for a movie at the same time. You are going to execute any one of it, and that's exact kind of behavior that we are getting imitated over here. Now, one more thing. I want to tell you how to take input from the user. Well, if you want to take input from the user, the function is input, and you just write int x. And if you observe over here, when I execute this, if I execute this, there is a box coming. It is asking us for input. And you see over here, the number has not changed. It is star. It means it is in the processing state. Okay. So it is asking us some input. So if I say version, so it didn't print twice. This is the one which I typed, and this is the one which it printed with the help of this print function. So if I execute it once again, if I give a number like 100, it comes twice. Now, I can also write over here something. So I can say over here, enter your name. Now when I execute this, if I say version, now you understand that yes, this is what was the output of this, and this is what is the output of this print function. Okay, so that's how my input function works like. Okay, do you have any questions? Yes, you can always type it in the chat section. Okay, I'll be visiting there frequently. Or you can also unmute yourself and ask at any point of time you want. So now, this is done. Pretty much simple. Now there is a problem with this. Well, if I just look at this, I will also look at the type of this. Okay, what is the type? I mean, if I give my name, see over here that the type of my name is string. That's fine. So let me try giving a number over here. Keep the same, but I need a number like 100 and I press enter. Oh, so 100 is also stored as a string. Remember friends, whatever you give as input, it is stored as a string, but we don't like it. 100 has to be stored as an integer, right? So what I do is, whatever is the output of this, okay, we know that this 100, whatever you give over here, is going to be stored inside x. Okay, what I do over here is, on the next line, I say I want to modify my x to integer data type. So now my x, which was 100, I'll show you. Now my x, which was 100, got stored as 100, but the data type has been changed. So, I mean, if you want, I can also, add this before it so that you understand now. When I give 100 and I press enter, Initially, it printed the type of X, which was string. Then we converted it to integer and stored inside X once again. And once again, I printed X and type of X. It got converted to integer. So now that brings me to our problem. So I paste over here and I say over here, I want to take as input. So I say input, and this time I say enter a number. And we say X is equal to int of X. And now we start our comparison. So when we execute it, if I give the number like 100, we'll say X is greater than 35. Makes sense. If I execute this and give a number like 12, we'll say X is less than 35. And if I execute this and I give a number like 35, we'll see 35 is equal to 35. So that's how my if statement works. Everything clear so far to everyone, guys? Any questions so far? Please reply in the chat section. Any questions so far? If everything is clear, please type yes. Okay, thank you, Sudeep. Thank you, Dr. Chandani. Thank you, Naresh. So let's proceed then in that case. Very clear and simple, sir. Thank you for making it easy. My pleasure, ma'am. Thank you very much. So let's proceed then. Now, next thing which I want to tell you is a data structure which is called as list. Well, let me explain you what is the difference first. If I say is equal to 45, let's say print A. It means this. But what if I want to store inside A more than one values? Maybe I want to store 45, 46, I want to store 98, I want to store 100. If I try to do this, well, it's kind of weird. Okay. So if I want to store a collection of values inside a variable, what is the right way of doing it? Well, there are two ways of doing it. The first is called as list and the next is called as tuple. Okay. So the first one is called as list. Next is called as tuple. What is the meaning of that? Well, first of all, both of them, be it list or tuple, they are very similar to each other. I say that they are collection of, since it is a common point, so I'm writing it across, dissimilar items. So what is the difference? List is stored in the form of square brackets, tuple is stored in the form of round brackets. So now you can just extrapolate that what you see over here is a tuple. But anyways, I'll not get into this. Observe over here only at the moment. So tuple is stored in round brackets. Okay. I say the contents of the list are flexible. That is, in technical terms, we call it as mutable. And the contents of the list of the tuple are immutable. That is, we say over here, they are fixed. I'll just help you understand these three things. Rest everything is very same. So if I say to create a list over here, maybe of values like 1, 3, 5, 7, they need not be in ascending order, but they are a collection of values. So I can write it like this, and I'll also show you the type of it. I can see it is a list, collection of values. Okay, so now it brings me to what is a tuple then? Tuple is exactly the same thing, not even an inch here and there. The only difference is the square brackets above, in the square brackets in the above cell 64 replaced by round brackets. Observe over here. Okay, so this is what is my tuple. So let me tell you few differences of it. The first difference is this is square bracket, this is round brackets. The second difference is it is flexible, this is fixed. Now I'll come to this difference after a while. First, let me introduce the data structure in detail, and then I'll come to what is mutability and immutability. So let me just put that on hold. Okay. Now, let me just tell you how is this data structure stored. If you have a list, it will be stored like this: 1, 3, 5, and 7. Yes, this is how the list is stored. So let me say the name is L. I'll just change it. So I go down. L is equal to, let's say, Intel. So this is a list. Okay. Now, apart from this, what I say over here is what I wanted to speak. I just forgot. Okay. Anyways, let it be. So if you look at this, yes, I got it. This list need not be always collection of integers. Okay, it can be collection of floating values also. So you can also have a number like this. That's allowed. It's still a list. If you are confused, let me show you the type function. The type function says it is still a list. Okay, can I add a string over here? Maybe like version? Yes, it is still a list. Therefore, I said it's a collection of similar items. So can I add a complex number over here? 1 plus 25j? Yes, it is still a list. Can I add a Boolean value over here? Maybe like false? Yes, it is still a list. Okay. So now, having understood this, let me finally create a list. And let me tell you the same thing is valid for tuples also. If you want to confirm, well, everything which a list supports, tuple also supports. There are only two differences. One is having square brackets, one is having round brackets. And the second is mutability versus immutability. So let's understand that after some time. Before that, let me show you the indexing and slicing in list and tuples. Let's say if I have a list, maybe like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. How is this list stored? Well, this is a list 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Now, friends, this also has a number which comes implicitly without you assigning it. This number is something in Python which we called as forward indexing, because it starts from 0 and goes up to 4. Python is so smart that Python also gives indexes which go from back, but they don't start from once again 0, because 0 is already assigned to 10. So you cannot reuse that. So you have to use the values which are not assigned before. And -1, -2, -3 are not assigned. And this is something which is called as backward indexing. What is the advantage of that? Let me explain you what is the advantage of that in the code itself. If I say for me square bracket 0, okay, square bracket 0 means in this particular list, tell me what is the number which is present at index location 0. When I execute this, get 10. So now you understand this is called as indexing. So if I say what is L of 4, it gives me 50, and that makes sense also. This is again an indexing operation. If I say what is L of 9, well, L of 9 doesn't exist. And when you look over here, it gives me an index error, which clearly says that this list is out of the index range. There is nothing which is stored at index location 9. So don't do all these stupid operations. Okay. If I say what is L of -1, as expected, L of -1 is also 50. Wow, that's so nice and that's so cool. I say what is L of minus 3? It has to be 30, right? That's what you get. L of minus 3 is, oh, I'm sorry. We see this. Okay. Now, this is what we did in case of list. As I just told you, the same operation can be done in case of tuples also. So what I do is I'll keep everything same other than this. You see, it's exactly the same. The only thing is I change it to tuple. Okay. Now we understand what is list. We understand what is a tuple. So after this, the next one which I want to discuss over here is my indexing is done. Let us discuss the slicing operation. So please give me 1 minute, guys. It's an important phone. Hello. Spam. Okay. Okay. I'll continue. Thank you, Santosh sir and Satya. Thank you very much. I just saw the comment right now. Thank you very much. Let's go ahead. So next one. I was talking of next operation. Okay. I say over here, print for me. The operation which I am talking of right now is called a slicing operation. What is a slicing operation? Well, if you imagine this to be a bar cake, is a bar cake. And if I say that give me a slice of it, so you understand that we are requesting for one slice of it. If I say no, I want this much slice of it, so this is another slice of it. So slicing means taking a part out of it. Slicing means taking a part out of it. So I say over here to do my slicing operation. Well, slicing says just specify the start index and just specify the end index, and we will be taking out the slice for you. Okay. So when I say over here 1:3, that is, if I say L of 1:3, this is called as start index. This is called as end index. So fetch everything from index location 1 to index location 3. That is, fetch everything from index location 1 to index location 3. So precisely the output that we are expecting is 20, 30, and 40. Let's see, do we get it? We do not. You know what is the reason for that? That's how Python is being coded. Python says that the end index will always be considered by me as end index -1. That is a golden rule for almost all programming languages. End index is always considered as end index -1. That's how they are being already coded. You cannot help on with that. Okay, there are very few programming languages like R, wherein start index is start index and end index is end index. However, in Python, end index is end index -1. So when I say 1, 2, 3, ideally it has to go to index location 1 to index location 3 -1. Start will remain as it is. End index is end index -1. So now it will fetch everything from 1 to 2. So 20 and 30 without 40. That's exactly what you see over here. In the same way, you can also print over here. If I say what is log, maybe if I say 3:4, you have to understand that it will print everything from index location 3 to index location 4 -1. That is, it is going to print everything from 3 to 3 only. What is that index location 3? 40. Okay. Now, having understood this part of it, let us go ahead to the later part. Can also do slicing operation in negative direction. Of square bracket. Maybe I say -4:-1. Now, when I say -4:-1, it's not something new. my start index over here is -4 and my end index over here is equal to -1. However, we know that it will always go till end index -1. Precisely, it will go from -1, -1. So fetch everything from index location -4 to index location -2. And if you execute that, 20, 30, 40 should be the expected output. And that's exactly what you get. Now, the operation is not different when it comes to tuples also. When you do the same thing over here, it's exactly the same. The only thing is the output is in the form of a tuple. Okay. Now we understand what is the difference between list and tuple and what are the similarities. So let me explain you how is a list another way different from tuple. If I say L is equal to, maybe if I say 20, 40, and I say and for me, and I say for me log 0, and I say execute it. So after this, it is but natural that we are going to get this output. Now I say whatever is at L of 0 is change it to string version, and then I ask it to print the same thing once again. Now I'm happy to see that this was my older list. My L of 0 was 10. Then I changed my L of 0 to Darshan. So when I printed these two things, it got changed to Darshan, and that is a proof over here. Now, I say over here that lists are mutable or flexible in nature. However, tuples are immutable or rigid or fixed in nature. For example, if I try to do the same thing on tuple, everything remains same, only this changes.
Me?
You can mute yourself, sir. You are unmuted. Please mute yourself. Hello. Hello, 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 hello. Yes, thank you very much. Okay. So as you can see over here, L is equal to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. The moment I try to change it, it's giving me a type error. And it's clearly saying also, object doesn't support item assignment. You cannot do that. So therefore, we say over here that when it comes to tuple, they are immutable, or rather, I say they are fixed. They are not flexible in nature. That's the basic difference. Now the question is, we understood. What is the use of having this? What is the use of having this? Well, there's only one use of having this. When it comes to list versus tuples, let me tell you that 95% of the time, I train in the entire area of AI, machine learning, NLP. If you ask my experience over here, 95% of the times we go for tuple list only. We don't go for tuples. Hardly 5% of the time we go for tuples. So when is it that you go for tuples? Well, tuples are used when we do not want the value to be changed. For example, if I say I want to store the Aadhaar card number of a person, I want to store the passport number of a person, I want to store the bank account number of the person, I will not like anyone to change the contents of it. At that places, you go for tuples. However, for all other operations where a flexibility is required, where mutability is required, at that time you go for list. Makes sense. Simple enough. So these are the two primary important data structures in Python. Now, having understood this, I'll go down. Down. Now I'm talking of groups in If I say n is equal to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Now, the loop that I'm going to teach you in Python is for loop. Now, what is exactly a loop? Well, let me tell you, loops are something which are used for performing an iterative action. And this iterative action is going to be performed unless and until the condition becomes false. So if I want to perform something continuously back to back again and until the condition becomes false, I say it is a loop. For example, let's say I have some target in life. Unless and until I create assets of 1 CR, I will keep on slogging very hard. After that, I will slow down my pace, or I may consider of taking a retirement. So my efforts are going to be maximum unless and until I build up assets of 1 CR. That is what is the agenda of anyone. I mean, the targets could be anything. Similarly, loops over here are also something like that. If you want some action to be repeated n number of times unless and until the condition becomes false, you go for loops. So the first loop in Python is called as for loop. How do you write it? For val in sequence, again a colon, print val. Let me explain you this. Say over here, for I in and I. Let me explain you first what exactly happened over here, and then I'll go into the details. I have a list which is called as n, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Now friends, understand this. The moment I say for I in n, my line number 1 is executed. My line number 2 is a loop. The moment I say over here for I in n, what happens exactly? A variable I is created and this straight away starts holding the number 10. Diagrammatically try to understand this. It straight away starts holding the number 10. Okay. Now it will check. N is a membership operator which you know. So it will check, is this 10 present in this list which is called as n? And the answer to that is yes. If the condition is true, then an entry would be allowed inside this. So since the condition is true, we got a yes over here. Entry is allowed inside this and it is going to print me 10. After printing 10, it is going to go back. Till now, it never used to, but for the first time, it has gone back. So it has printed me the value 10. After that, since it is a loop, I told you that I'm going to slog unless and until I create assets of some amount. Similarly, unless and until some condition becomes false over here, we are going to repeat this action n number of times. So this time when it goes back, since it is a for loop, let me tell you, some things happen automatically over here. By the time we take a U-turn, and reach over here, this arrow automatically moves ahead to the next element and it no more points to 10. This happens automatically and I is now holding 20. I is now holding 20. Now it is going to check, is 20 in n? Of course 20 is in n. Condition satisfied. So you are getting an entry inside this and you print 20. By the time you once again go back, this I starts pointing to the third value and disconnects connection with this. It will check, is 30 a part of this loop? And obviously answer to that is yes. If the answer to that is yes, it will be giving an entry into the loop and it will say print I. So now 30 would be printed. By the time it goes back, I now starts pointing to the next value, disconnecting connection with the previous one. It will check, is 40 in this n? Yes, 40 is in n. Get an entry and print I 40. By the time this goes back, now try to understand, we are very near at the end of it. By the time it goes back, I starts pointing to next value, disconnecting connection over here. Is 50 in n? Yes. If it is in n, we'll be getting an entry inside this and it will print 50. And as usual, it will go back. by the time it goes back, it starts pointing to the next value in the list, disconnecting connection with this. Now, if you observe over here, whatever be the value over here, whatever be the value, it is going to check whether that particular value is present in the list. And obviously, it will not be present. What is present in the list is already being parsed, and therefore, this time when this number, it could be anything. If this is present, whether that is there in n, obviously for the first time, the answer to that is no. If the answer to that is no, we don't give an entry in the loop, and then the loop terminates, and therefore you don't get any output after this. So you actually have a normal function over here, maybe end of for loop, and I execute that. You see over here, once the loop actually terminates, as you can see over here, after printing 50, it goes back to the normal program and starts executing its normal flow. So whatever are the lines after this would be executed, and they will be produced over here. So this is how my loops work in Python. So you can use it for anything. In fact, first of all, let me tell you that it need not be a list always. It is very much possible for it to be a tuple. It gets the same output. Okay, let me tell you that the contents of this also need not be always numbers. You can also have person over here. Maybe you can also have Joseph's over here. Get all of these things. Absolutely not a problem. Now, yes, there is one thing which I don't like about this, which I will just like to say in short. The outputs are printed one below the other. This is something which I don't like about this, because you can understand that we are having only 5 values in the list. What if we had 50 values? I mean, can I have that? Yes, you can certainly have that. How? I can say over here, n is going to be inside a list. Just let me confirm. 1:51. Let me confirm, then I'll talk of this. No. Uh, not allowing me. No problem. So let's say I'll tell you what to do in this case. But let's say if your list consists of many values, then obviously printing these values one below the other 50 number of times is going to be, the output is not going to look very good. So what we do is I'll take the same thing over here. I'll take this example only. I'll modify it over here, and then I'll talk what has to be done. So I don't like this thing. Okay, the output of this is something which goes down, down, down. In fact, there are more values, maybe like 60, 70, 80, 100. When I execute that, I mean, it's taking too much space on my notebook. And the readability is okay, but I think it can be made better. So what I do over here is, in this print function, there is an attribute. I write comma. Understand this. This is new, so you may find it somewhat difficult to digest, but it's really very simple and cool concept. I type comma over here. After comma, there is an attribute which is called as end equal to. For the first time, you are finding it new, but trust me, it is very simple. And end equal to expects something inside this double quotes. So if I type star, I mean, just observe first. What do you see? End is equal to is going to tell us that after you print this value, please end it with a star. So my I initially hold at 10. After printing 10, it ended it with a star. Then next time it holded 20. After printing 20, it ended with a star. 30 star, 40 star, 50 star, 60 star, 70, 80, 90, 100 star. No, I skipped 90. Anyways, 100 star. And after that, end of loop did come. Okay, there is no star after this, because this is where the star is associated. Star is not associated with end of loop. So what I'll do is, I mean, for some time, what I'll do is I'll just comment this so that we don't bother of this end of loop. Let us talk of only this part of the code. Okay, now instead of star, if I write, can I write anything else? Well, yes, you can certainly write. If I say end everything with darshan, one darshan, two darshan, three darshan. So what I do is I delete everything and I do not write anything inside end. All the numbers stored next to each other. That's really very weird way of looking at the numbers. So what I say is, let me replace that with a space. This is what is much more readable to us. Much more readable. Okay, so this is the advantage of having a better readability with the help of the print function. So I think with this much time, I'll just keep the last 3 minutes for Q&A if you have any, so that we can take that. So yes. Any questions? Yes, Lakshmi. Yes, ma'am. We'll certainly. I'm sorry. I mean, since I'm so much into corporate trainings, and we know that in teaching fraternity, we always have a habit of saying sir and ma'am. And usually, when it comes to online training, corporate people prefer calling them by the name. So I'm sorry if I didn't call any one of you by sir or ma'am. My due respect to all of you. I also belong to the same fraternity. So please don't take it otherwise. So yes, you will be getting the presentation. I'll be sharing the presentation with you. Sir, can you please help me out? Where should I share it? Then I can help you out with. I can share the material.
Yes, sir. If you can share it to the coordinator, we will send it to the participants.
Perfect, perfect. I'll share it. So,
Sure.
any questions from you guys? Anything you have? You can please type in the chat section or ask me. And if there are no questions, then yes, we can call it a day.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Naresh.
Sir, in this for loop, for a comment I in n means the I take the values of n only and checking in n only means it's blindly printing the values in n only.
Yes.
So let us, I want to take only pick up 3 values, means like I want to check, I want the output values more than 20.
Okay, I'll help you out with that. Good question. So due to shortage of time, I did not get into that. Yes, I'll do it. So let's say if this is the thing that we have, and you say that get the numbers greater than 20, right?
Any value, sir, 20 or 30.
Let's keep it to 30, 40 in that case. Okay. So now what will happen inside this is, I will first of all get rid of all these things. Come inside this. How is this list going to be stored? You know that it is going to be stored like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. So as per you, or rather as per me, I told you that initially it will be holding 10. So now what I say is, for the first time when it is holding 10, I come down and I check if my value of I is greater than 40, then only you print I followed by end is equal to space. That's done. So now what is going to happen over here is, first time I holds 10 is going to check, is 10 greater than 40? No. So don't print it. So that's out. So after this, it will immediately go up. This time it holds 20. Is 20 in n? Yes. Is 20 greater than 40? No. So no printing will occur. It will go back. It will hold 30. Is 30 in n? Yes. Then is 30 greater than 40? No. Again go back. It holds 40. Is 40 in n? Yes. Is 40 greater than 40? No. So it goes back. Then it holds 50. Is 50 in n? Yes. Is 50 greater than 40? Yes. So it will print 50. Then next time it holds 60. Is 60 in n? Yes. 60 greater than 40? Yes. It will print 60, and so on till 100. Makes sense to you, Naresh? Hello, Naresh. I think you are on mute.
Sir, yes, sir, I got it, understood.
In fact, with the help of this, I mean, I'm sorry. With the help of this, Just I'll show you one more thing. Let's say rather than saying numbers greater than 40, let us say print even numbers in the list. Okay, so if I say print even numbers in the list, let me add some odd numbers. Maybe if I say 10 is there, 15 is there, 25 is there, 35 is there, 45 is there, 55 is there, 65 is there, 75 is there, 85, and lastly 95. Okay, so the condition is going to change over here. If I say if I modulo 2 is equal to 0, I modulo 2 is equal to 0, include that. So only the even numbers would be printed over here. All the odd numbers would be skipped. So that's how it is. All clear now? 100% clear to you, Naresh, and everyone?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Most welcome. So, any more questions? Okay, there is some question in the chat. Theravium, if I am not wrong in pronouncing. In the growing scenario of programming, coding, according to you, sir, what is the most unique thing you have learned? Well, the most unique thing, if you ask me with respect to coding, is everything is coding is the same. Nothing changes. For example, I mean, if you know any one programming language, understanding any other programming language is going to be very easy. So in fact, I say that if you know C programming language, understanding any programming language is going to be always an easy task for us, because ultimately we have to understand one thing, that programming is nothing but mathematics. You are simply converting a mathematical problem into a coding problem, and that's not a difficult task. If you understand the logical development aspect part of it, converting any mathematical thing into programming is not a difficult task. In fact, you are having some machine learning sessions in your FDP. At that place also, you'll realize that when you learn about linear regression, logistic regression, you will see that it is purely a algebraic and geometric intuition that you'll see over here, and everything that is available over there has been captured into this programming. For example, the time series analysis, where you have the smoothing techniques, right? The this, what do you call, Holt-Winters technique, the simple exponential smoothing, double exponential smoothing, or the triple exponential smoothing. I mean, these things, since you all belong to this mechanical and electrical background, I'm sure you might have heard of this. So all these things are pre-coded in Python with the help of a single line function. So you can imagine, right, for solving any problem on that, let's say if you're given around 10-15 values, you take so much time to solve it manually on the paper. Code gives us the answer in a fraction of seconds. So everything is pre-coded. That's the beauty of Python, and you can actually use it. But understanding the core mathematics of it is most important, and luckily you know all of that. So for you to understand coding in Python should not be a challenge at all. It's going to be, in fact, an easy task for you if you actually think of diving more into this aspect. So that's what I want to say over here, Shilpa. Going ahead, Lakshmi Devi. So, ma'am, she's asking if we want to print the numbers alternatively by skipping one after other, how can we do it? Okay. Yes, you can certainly do it. Then you have to actually write you have to code it. I mean, you have to put in some more efforts in getting all those things. Let's say if you want to do it alternatively, then what can be done over here is, let me just think of what can be done is, okay. So I say it will be complicated, but let me just help you out with that. I say count is equal to 0. Let me first do it, because I cannot explain it all together along with the way I'm doing it. And X, if count mod 2 is equal to 0, in this and then I say count is equal to count plus 1. So yes, you can see over here, it has printed the things alternatively. So let me tell you what I exactly did over here. Well, I just took a variable randomly, which is called as count. And this count was initialized to a value 0. Then I said for I in n, so I holds 10, it is going to come inside and check, is count modulo 2 equal to 0? Is 0 modulo 2 0? Yes. So it will come inside that and print the value of I. 10 got printed. Then I say count is equal to count plus 1. So count got incremented to 1. After this, control went back. This time it holds 10. If count modulo 2 is equal to 0, is 1 modulo 10 equal to 0? Sorry, 1 modulo 2 is equal to 0? No, it is not equal to 0. So this part would be skipped. This print line would be skipped and count would be incremented to count plus 1. Then we again go back. This time it holds 20. Then it will check, is count modulo 2 equal to 0? 2 modulo 2 equal to 0? Yes. So we will get an entry into this. We print the value of I, that is 20. And in this way, every time the count value is an even number, it is going to print. Every time it is an odd number, it is not going to print. Okay. So all these things are possible. It was a atypical operation, but yes, we can certainly do it. That makes sense to you, Lakshmi? Yes. Thank you very much, Lakshmi. Any more questions? Thank you very much. Okay. I think the questions are over, sir. So we can call it a day.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. On behalf of our management, our principal, our HOD's coordinator, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks, sir. Thank you for accepting our invitation and delivering the lecture. We are really enlightened and by your presence as well as your knowledge. Thank you once again, sir. And I hope the participants would have been highly benefited by your lecture. Thank you once again.
Thank you once again. I'm highly obliged, sir. Bye all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Participants, could you please turn on your videos just a minute so that we can take a group photograph? Participants, could you please turn on your videos? It is necessary to submit group photographs to AICTE. Thank you everyone. I have also posted the feedback link in the chat, as well as I have shared the attendance link. Kindly fill attendance link as well as the feedback link. And we'll be starting the next session in another 5 minutes. Thank you.